The council chamber stretched across 3 kilometers of gleaming crystal. 47 species sat in their designated sections, their forms ranging from gaseous clouds to rock-like beings that barely moved. Ambassador Chen Wei stood in the human section, a tiny box near the back where the newest members always sat. The Krithax Dominion occupied the center platform. They were massive creatures, twice the height of humans, with 4 arms and scales that shimmered like oil on water. For 12,000 years they had ruled the Galactic Council. Every species feared them. Every species obeyed them. Chen pressed the request button on his console. A soft chime echoed through the chamber. The Krithax High Commander Velthor turned one of his 3 eyes toward the human section. The primitives wished to speak, Velthor announced. Laughter rippled through the chamber. Not cruel laughter, but the kind adults make when a child says something amusing. Chen kept his face neutral. He had learned this much in his 2 years representing Earth. Show no anger, show no fear. Just speak clearly and hope they listen. Honorable Council, Chen began. 3 of our colony ships have been attacked in the past month. Pirates from the Vextal region. We request permission to deploy defensive fleet elements to protect our trade routes. More laughter. A blob-like delegate from the Quillan Collective made a gurgling sound that Chen's translator rendered as, "How adorable." Velthor raised one clawed hand. The chamber fell silent. Ambassador Chen, your species relies on... What do you call them? Bullets? He said the word as if it tasted bad. You throw metal at your enemies. Like cavemen throwing rocks. We use kinetic weapons, yes, Chen said carefully. But our escort vessels are quite capable of... Denied, Velthor interrupted. The Council does not permit Category 4 species to deploy military vessels beyond their home system. You may purchase escort services from approved contractors. This discussion is closed. Chen sat down. His hands gripped the armrests of his chair, but his face remained calm. Around the galaxy, 47 species used plasma weapons, energy beams, and gravity manipulators. Only humans still used guns and missiles. It made them a joke. 3 weeks later, Captain Sarah Okonkwo sat in the command chair of the UES Dauntless. Through the viewport, she could see the 5 human freighters they were escorting. Fat ships, slow ships carrying manufactured goods to the colony on Proxima 7. Contact, her sensor officer called out. Multiple ships emerging from hyperspace. Configuration matches Vextal pirates. Sarah leaned forward. How many? 6 vessels. Frigate class. Sarah tapped her console. The Dauntless was alone. The approved contractors the Council had recommended cost too much. Earth's government had quietly decided to send one of their own ships instead. If the Council found out, there would be diplomatic consequences. But losing 3 cargo ships in a month had worse consequences. Hail them, Sarah ordered. The pirate response came immediately. Human vessel, stand down. We are claiming your cargo. Do not resist. Sarah looked at her weapons officer, Lieutenant Marcus Chen, no relation to the ambassador. Marcus, is the package ready? Marcus nodded slowly. The package. That's what they called it. The magnetic accelerator cannon mounted along the Dauntless's spine. 400 meters of superconducting coils that could accelerate a tungsten slug to 15% of light speed. Earth's engineers had built it in secret. They had tested it in secret. And now, far from home, far from the Council's watching eyes, Sarah had to decide if she would use it. They're firing on the freighters. The sensor officer reported. Energy weapons. The shields are holding, but not for long. Sarah made her decision. Marcus, target the lead pirate vessel. Fire when ready, the Dauntless hummed. Power from the fusion reactor flooded into the railgun's coils. The tungsten slug, weighing half a ton, sat in the firing chamber. Magnetic fields grabbed it, pulled it, accelerated it down the barrel. The slug left the Dauntless at 45,000 kilometers per second. It crossed the distance to the pirate ship in less than 3 seconds. The pirate's shields, designed to deflect plasma and lasers, might as well have been tissue paper. The slug punched through the shield, through the hull, through the reactor, and out the other side. The pirate ship exploded. Not in a Hollywood fireball, but in a flash of light as metal turned to vapor. The other 5 pirate ships immediately jumped to hyperspace, fleeing as fast as their engines could carry them. Target destroyed, Marcus said. His voice was quiet, almost confused. Ma'am, the slug kept going. Sarah looked at the trajectory plot. The tungsten slug, barely slowed by passing through the pirate ship, continued on its path. At 0.15 light speed, it would keep traveling for years, forever, until it hit something. 2 days later, the council's emergency session began. Every delegate was present. The chamber was silent. Velthor's scales had turned a dark purple, which Chen had learned meant anger or fear, possibly both. The humans, Velthor said slowly, have destroyed the monument of Vextal Prime. Chen stood. He had been summoned immediately after the reports came in. High Commander, I am told that our escort vessel defended a convoy against pirates. I was not aware that any monument was damaged. Damaged? Velthor's voice rose. Your weapon, your primitive metal slug, continued traveling after destroying the pirate vessel. It struck the monument of Vextal Prime. The monument was 2 million kilometers from the battle. The slug had not slowed. The monument and the station surrounding it no longer exist. The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted in dozens of languages. Some demanded human expulsion from the council. Others called for sanctions. A few simply stared at Chen in horror. Velthor raised all forearms. Silence fell. Ambassador Chen, this council banned kinetic weapons 8,000 years ago. You will surrender all such weapons immediately. You will submit to inspection. You will— No, Chen said. The silence that followed was absolute. No one said no to the Dominion. No one. Explain yourself, Velthor said, his voice dangerously soft. Chen took a breath. My government has reviewed the council's laws. Kinetic weapons are banned above 0.01 light speed. Our weapon fired at 0.15 light speed. This is true. However, Earth never signed that treaty. We were not members of this council 8,000 years ago. We are not bound by laws we did not agree to. Then you will agree now, Velthor said, or face the consequences. Chen looked around the chamber. 47 species. All of them watching. All of them waiting to see if humanity would bow. We will defend ourselves, Chen said quietly, with whatever weapons we possess. The council's physics team worked for 3 days straight. They analyzed every sensor reading from the Dauntless's weapon. They studied the trajectory of the tungsten slug. They calculated, recalculated, and calculated again. Dr. Thexelin, a mantis-like being from the Scalarium species, presented the findings. His voice clicked and whistled, translated into dozens of languages simultaneously. The energy required to stop this projectile is 900 times greater than the energy required to fire it. The chamber was silent. Delegates processed this information. Some looked confused. Others looked sick. Explain in simple terms, Velthor demanded. Thexelin's antennae twitched nervously. High Commander, our shields work by redirecting energy. Plasma, lasers, particle beams, we push them aside or absorb them. But a solid object moving at relativistic speeds. He paused. There is too much momentum. The shields cannot redirect it. They simply fail. What about multiple shields? Someone asked. It does not matter. 1 shield or 100 shields. At these speeds, matter is matter. Solid metal carries more kinetic energy than any energy weapon we possess. The human projectile that destroyed the monument, it hit with the force of a small nuclear weapon, and it was only half a ton of tungsten. A delegate from the peaceful Yulian Harmony spoke up. Surely our armor makes it worse, Thexelin interrupted. When a relativistic projectile hits armor, both the armor and the projectile vaporize. The expanding plasma is often more destructive than the initial impact. The Vextal monument was not simply destroyed. It was converted to gas. Velthor's scales shifted to dark purple again. Why did we ban these weapons? An elderly delegate from the archival species shuffled forward. She was small, wrinkled, and had been alive for over 300 years. I remember the war, she said softly. Though it was long before most of you were born, the chamber leaned forward. The archival species rarely spoke. When they did, people listened. The Builders' civilization, she continued. They were the most advanced species in the galaxy. They had technology we still cannot replicate. But they had rivals. 2 factions fighting for control. And they both discovered the same truth the humans have just shown us. Kinetic weapons are simple. Kinetic weapons are cheap. And kinetic weapons, when accelerated fast enough, are unstoppable. She tapped a control. Holograms appeared above the chamber. Star systems rendered in 3 dimensions. Except many of the systems were marked in red. The dead zones, she said. 23 star systems where nothing can live. The space between those systems is filled with debris moving at relativistic speeds. Millions of projectiles fired during the Builders' War, still traveling through space. Any ship that enters those regions is destroyed. Any planet in their path is sterilized. The builders fired so many kinetic weapons that they created permanent death traps in the galaxy. She looked directly at Chen. The builders destroyed themselves. Their civilization collapsed not because one side won, but because both sides made the galaxy unlivable. After their fall, the surviving species created this council. And the very first law, the most sacred law, was this: no kinetic weapons above .01 light speed. We did not know, Chen said quietly. Earth's history has wars, yes, terrible wars. But we never fought across multiple star systems. Ignorance is not an excuse, Velthor said. You have violated the first law. You will surrender your weapons. Chen straightened. No. We will not. Then we will take them by force, Velthor replied. 2 days later, Chen received an encrypted message from Earth. He read it 3 times to make sure he understood correctly. Then he requested an emergency session with the council. When the delegates assembled, Chen stood at the central podium. The Galactic Council has demanded that Earth surrender its kinetic weapons, he began. My government has sent a response. But first they wish to demonstrate something. We do not need demonstrations, Velthor said. We have seen what your weapons can do. No, Chen said. You have seen what our smallest weapon can do. The chamber fell silent. Every delegate stared at Chen. The Dauntless carries 1 railgun, Chen continued. A prototype. We built it to test the technology. But that was 20 years ago. We have had 2 decades to improve the design. To scale it up, he activated his console. Images appeared throughout the chamber. Massive structures in space. Rings around planets. Networks of satellites and stations. For 200 years, humanity has built infrastructure in our solar system. We use magnetic accelerators to move cargo. We launch ore from asteroid mines to processing stations. We boost supply ships to our outer colonies. Every day we accelerate thousands of tons of material using the same technology as our railgun. A delegate from the mercantile Torgon species leaned forward. You built weapons into your cargo systems? No, Chen said. We built cargo systems that could become weapons. Every mass driver in the solar system can be recalibrated. Every cargo launcher can fire projectiles instead of supply containers. Velthor stood. You are threatening the council? I am informing the council, Chen replied. You demanded to know our capabilities. Here they are. We can launch projectiles from Earth, from Luna, from Mars, from the asteroid belt. We can accelerate them to .25 light speed. And we have been stockpiling ammunition. He showed another image. Tungsten rods, millions of them, floating in orbital warehouses. Each rod weighs 10 tons. We have 500,000 of them, and we can manufacture more at a rate of 10,000 per month. The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted, argued, and demanded explanations. Some called Chen a warmonger. Others simply looked terrified. We do not wish for war, Chen said, speaking over the noise. But we will not be defenseless. You dismissed us as primitives. You laughed at our kinetic weapons. But our primitiveness is precisely why we are dangerous. We did not forget how to throw rocks. We just learned to throw them faster. Velthor's forearms trembled. This is insanity. You would turn the galaxy into another dead zone? Only if forced to defend ourselves, Chen replied. We propose an alternative. Mutually assured deterrence. Give us our rightful place on this council. Recognize our sovereignty. And we will share our technology with species who wish only to defend themselves. Never, Velthor spat. The Dominion will not bow to primitives. Chen met his gaze. Then the Dominion should be very careful not to give us a reason to fire. The council demanded proof. They wanted to see the scale of humanity's capabilities. They wanted to know if Chen was bluffing. Earth's government agreed to a demonstration. They chose an uninhabited star system on the edge of known space. Every major species sent observation ships to watch from a safe distance. Admiral Hassan stood on the bridge of the UES Sovereignty. Around him, his crew worked quietly, professionally. This was humanity's moment. The galaxy was watching. Target confirmed, the navigation officer reported. Asteroid KX-447, mass approximately 50 million tons. Hassan nodded. The asteroid had been selected because it was large, stable, and in a predictable orbit. After the demonstration, it would not be in orbit at all. All stations, this is Admiral Hassan. Begin acceleration sequence. Across the Sol system, hundreds of mass drivers activated. On Luna, in the asteroid belt on Mars, on orbital platforms, magnetic coils powered up. The tungsten slug they would fire today was not a half-ton prototype. It was a solid cylinder of tungsten measuring 30 meters long and 5 meters wide. It weighed 5,000 tons. The Council observers watched their sensors as energy readings spiked across human space. A Quilon scientist aboard one of the observation ships made gurgling sounds of disbelief. "That power level cannot be right," she said to her colleagues. "They are channeling enough energy to run a small city into a single projectile," her assistant added quietly. In Sol system, the final calculations completed. The asteroid's position, velocity, and trajectory had been measured down to the centimeter. The projectile's launch window was measured in microseconds. "All systems green," the weapons officer reported. "Ready to fire on your command." Hassan took a breath. "Fire!" The magnetic pulse traveled through hundreds of kilometers of superconducting coils. The tungsten cylinder accelerated smoothly, building speed. In 3 seconds, it left the mass driver at 75,000 kilometers per second. 1/4 the speed of light. The observation ships tracked it. The projectile was moving so fast that even light-speed sensors had difficulty following it. It would take the slug 3 weeks to reach its target. But every ship in the galaxy could calculate exactly where it would be at any moment. "Projectile away," Hassan announced. "Impact in 21 days, 4 hours, and 17 minutes. On the bridge of the Krethax observation vessel, Commander Zelkoth watched the numbers scroll across his display. "They really did it," he said softly. "They weaponized their entire solar system." His science officer nodded. "Yes, Commander. And that projectile, our shields would not even slow it down." 21 days later, every major species had ships in position. They maintained a distance of 10 million kilometers from the target asteroid. At these ranges, they would be safe from debris. The tungsten cylinder arrived exactly on schedule. Exactly on target. It struck the asteroid at 0.25 light speed. At those speeds, matter behaves strangely. The tungsten did not simply punch through the asteroid. The kinetic energy converted both the projectile and a massive chunk of the asteroid into plasma. Temperatures spiked to millions of degrees. The asteroid, all 50 million tons of it, shattered. But the energy release was not finished. The plasma expanded outward at significant fractions of light speed. The remaining fragments of the asteroid, superheated and moving at tremendous velocities, scattered across the star system. For exactly 7 minutes, the target area glowed. From the observation ships, it looked like a second sun had briefly appeared in the system. When the light faded, the asteroid was gone. In its place was an expanding cloud of gas and small debris. "Mother of oceans," the Quellan scientist whispered. Her translator caught the phrase, though it lost the religious significance in translation. On the Dominion vessel, Commander Zelkoth ran the numbers. "If that had been a planet?" "Extinction-level impact," his science officer replied. "Nothing larger than bacteria would survive. The atmosphere would be stripped away. The oceans would boil." Back on Earth, Ambassador Chen received reports from multiple sources. The demonstration had been witnessed. The message had been received. And now responses were coming in. 17 species requested immediate diplomatic meetings with Earth. Not with the Council. With Earth directly. The peaceful Yulian Harmony sent a simple message. "We wish to purchase defensive kinetic systems." The mercantile Torgon species was more direct. "Name your price for weapon systems and exclusive trade rights." Even the Vextal, the same species whose pirates had triggered this crisis, sent a formal apology and a request for trade negotiations. But the Dominion was silent. Captain Sarah Okonkwo sat in a debriefing room on Earth. Across from her sat 3 admirals, 2 generals and Ambassador Chen. "You fired the first shot," one of the admirals said. "It was not an accusation, just a statement of fact." "I defended a convoy," Sarah replied, "following my orders." "And changed the galaxy," Chen added. He looked tired. "Every species now knows what humans can do. Some are frightened. Some want to be our allies. And the Dominion," he trailed off. "The Dominion is planning something," one of the generals said. "Our intelligence suggests they are assembling a war fleet. The largest fleet in thousands of years." Sarah felt cold. "How large?" 300,000 ships. "Every vessel the Dominion controls." The room was silent. 300,000 ships. The Dominion was calling humanity's bluff. They believed that overwhelming numbers could defeat kinetic weapons. They believed that speed and coordination could overcome simple physics. When? Sarah asked. Within the month. They will quantum jump directly to Earth's orbit. Their shields will be at maximum. They think they can weather our initial barrage and then destroy our infrastructure before we can reload. Admiral Hassan, who had overseen the demonstration, spoke for the first time. They are wrong. We knew this might happen. We prepared for it. He activated a holographic display. It showed the Sol system. But now added to the map were thousands of new objects, small objects, projectiles already in flight. We launched these 2 months ago, Hassan explained, long before the Council's ultimatum. Long before our demonstration, we calculated every possible quantum jump point an enemy fleet could use to attack Earth, and we fired projectiles to intercept those points. Sarah understood immediately. You made a minefield. A minefield of relativistic projectiles. Exactly. The Dominion can jump anywhere they want. But we have already filled the likely arrival zones with tungsten slugs. They will emerge from quantum space directly into our weapons. Chen looked at the display. Thousands of projectiles, each moving at 0.2 light speed, each carrying enough kinetic energy to vaporize a ship. If they jump to Earth? Hassan smiled grimly. Then they jump into the largest ambush in galactic history. The Dominion war fleet assembled in the Kelvac system, 300 light-years from Earth. 300,000 ships filled the space around the system's star. Dreadnoughts the size of cities, carriers holding thousands of fighters, cruisers bristling with weapons. High Commander Velthor stood on the bridge of the Eternal Conquest, the Dominion's flagship. Around him, his officers prepared for the jump to Earth. They had planned this operation for weeks. Every detail had been considered. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Velthor gazed at the holographic display showing his fleet. The greatest military force ever assembled. The humans think their rocks can stop us, he said. They forget that we have ruled this galaxy for 12,000 years. We have fought wars they cannot imagine. His strategic advisor, Commander Zelkoth, shifted uncomfortably. High Commander, our intelligence suggests the humans may have anticipated our approach. Perhaps we should. We have 300,000 ships, Velthor interrupted. They have one planet. Even if their kinetic weapons destroy half our fleet, we will still overwhelm them. Yes, High Commander. Velthor raised one clawed hand. All ships. Jump coordinates locked on Earth's orbital space. Maximum shields upon emergence. Fire on all planetary defense platforms immediately. Begin jump sequence. Throughout the fleet, quantum drives activated. Space twisted. And 300,000 Dominion ships vanished from the Kelvac system. On Earth, Admiral Hassan watched the countdown. 3 minutes until the Dominion fleet arrived. 2 minutes. 1 minute. All defense platforms armed, his weapons officer reported. Mass drivers charged. Counter battery systems active. Hassan nodded. Around Earth, Luna, and Mars, every defense installation was ready. But the real trap was already sprung. The projectiles were already in position. 30 seconds, the sensor officer called out. Hassan activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Hassan. Hold fire on my command. Let them arrive. Let them see what they have jumped into. The Dominion fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect formation. 300,000 ships materialized in Earth's orbital space, their shields glowing with power. For exactly 2 seconds, they were triumphant. Then the first tungsten slugs arrived. The projectiles had been fired weeks ago, timed to intercept the most likely jump points. The Dominion had emerged exactly where human strategists predicted. And now they sat in the middle of a weapons envelope moving at 0.2 light speed. The impacts began. Dominion shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, did nothing against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The first wave of slugs tore through the formation like a shotgun blast through paper. Ships exploded. Not with fire, there is no fire in space, but with the bright flash of matter converting to energy. Entire cruisers vanished in microseconds. Carriers split apart, their internal structures unable to handle the stress of hypervelocity impacts. On the Eternal Conquest's bridge, alarms screamed. Velthor stared at his displays in disbelief. Report. Contacts. Thousands of contacts. Kinetic projectiles throughout our formation. The tactical officer's voice was panicked. Shields are not stopping them. Ships are breaking up across all battle groups. Evasive maneuvers, Velthor ordered. But at relativistic speeds, there was no time for evasive maneuvers. The projectiles were already among them. More ships died, then more. The battle network lit up with distress signals. 90 seconds after arrival, 270,000 Dominion ships were destroyed or disabled. The survivors scattered, trying desperately to escape the killing zone. Now Earth's defense platforms opened fire. Fresh railgun rounds streaked out, targeting the fleeing ships. Mass drivers on Luna added their weight to the barrage. The defensive fire was not random. Every shot had been calculated, every trajectory planned. A Dominion carrier attempted to jump to hyperspace. A tungsten rod caught it mid-transition. The ship tore apart, half in normal space and half in the quantum realm. Commander Zelkoth watched his display with horror. 300,000 ships, the pride of the Dominion, reduced to 30,000 in less than 3 minutes. "Hi, Commander," he said quietly. "We must surrender." Velthor's scales had gone from purple to gray, a color Zelkoth had never seen before. The High Commander stared at the tactical display. 70 ships destroyed every second. The mathematics were simple. At this rate, the entire fleet would be gone in 7 minutes. "How?" Velthor whispered. "How did they know exactly where we would emerge?" "They fired blind weeks ago," Zelkoth explained. "They saturated every possible jump point with projectiles. It does not matter that most of their shots missed. Enough of them hit." On Earth, Admiral Hassan watched the Dominion fleet die. A part of him felt sick. This was not glory. This was slaughter. But it was necessary slaughter. The Dominion had come to destroy Earth. They had brought overwhelming force. They had been certain of victory. They had forgotten that in war, technology matters less than strategy. And strategy matters less than physics. "Incoming message from the Dominion flagship," his communications officer reported. Hassan nodded. "Put it through." Velthor's image appeared. The proud High Commander looked broken. "We surrender, please." "Stop firing." Hassan gestured to his weapons officer. "Cease fire. All platforms hold." The railgun barrage stopped. The Dominion survivors drifted in Earth's orbit, their shields down, their weapons powered off. "High Commander," Hassan said formally, "your fleet will remain in orbit. You will make no aggressive moves. Any ship that activates weapons or attempts to jump will be destroyed. Do you understand?" "Yes." Velthor's voice was barely a whisper. Hassan switched to another channel. "This is Admiral Hassan to all Galactic Council members. The Dominion attack on Earth has been repelled. Dominion forces have surrendered. Earth claims the right of defense under all galactic laws." Across the galaxy, species watched the aftermath. The debris field around Earth told the story. The most powerful military force in galactic history had been destroyed in minutes. By rocks. By simple tungsten slugs accelerated to absurd speeds. On the observation ship from the Yulian Harmony, the captain turned to her crew. "Record everything," she said softly. "We have just witnessed the end of the old order. The galaxy will never be the same." Back on the Eternal Conquest, Velthor sat in his command chair. Around him, his bridge crew worked to organize the survivors. 30,000 ships remained from 300,000. 1 in 10 had survived. "Commander Zelkoth," Velthor said quietly, "send a message to all Dominion territories. Tell them the humans have won." Zelkoth hesitated. "High Commander, the Council will want to know." "The Council will know soon enough. The Dominion's reign is over, ended by primitives who never forgot how to throw rocks." Velthor's laugh was bitter. "We thought ourselves so advanced, so superior. We forgot the universe's simplest truth." "What truth, High Commander?" "That force equals mass times acceleration, and the humans have mastered both." The Galactic Council chamber had never been so full. Every species sent their highest representatives. Even species that rarely left their homeworld sent delegates. They came to witness history. The Dominion section sat empty except for Commander Zelkoth. High Commander Velthor had resigned in disgrace. The Dominion's government had collapsed. Their emperor had abdicated. In one battle, 12,000 years of supremacy had ended. Ambassador Chen stood at the central podium. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Earth. 6 months of negotiations, treaties, and careful diplomacy. "Honored delegates," Chen began, "we are here to vote on the Kinetic Age Accords. These accords will reshape how our galaxy approaches defense and security." A delegate from the archival species stood. She was the same elderly woman who had explained the Builders' War. Ambassador Chen, your proposal frightens many of us. You wish to share kinetic weapons technology with any species that requests it. This could lead to another dead zone catastrophe. Chen nodded. I understand your fear. But consider the alternative. For 12,000 years, the Council maintained peace through the Dominion's dominance. One species held all the power. One species decided who could have weapons. One species controlled everyone else. And it worked, someone called out, did it? Chen asked. Pirates attacked our colonies with impunity. Smaller species were exploited. The Council dismissed our defensive needs with laughter. That is not peace. That is oppression by a different name. Zelkoth stood. The ambassador is correct. The Dominion, my people used our strength to control, not to protect. We believed ourselves superior. We were wrong, Chen continued. The Kinetic Age Accords propose a different model. Mutually assured deterrence. Every species capable of extinction-level kinetic strikes means no species dares to oppress another. Armed societies are polite societies. But the Builders' War, the archival delegate protested, the dead zones, happened because two factions fought for supremacy, Chen replied. Neither could accept losing. But if everyone has the ability to destroy everyone else, then no one can win by aggression. War becomes impossible because victory becomes impossible. A delegate from the peaceful Yulian Harmony spoke. You are proposing to make the galaxy more dangerous to make it more safe? Yes, Chen said simply. Earth's history includes a period we call the Cold War. Two human nations had weapons that could destroy all life on our planet. For 50 years, they opposed each other. And for 50 years, they never used those weapons. Because both sides knew that starting a war meant ending the world. But you are only one species on one planet, the Yulian delegate said. The galaxy has 47 species across 10,000 worlds. Which is why the Accords include strict regulations, Chen explained. Kinetic weapons may only be used in defense. Any species that fires first without provocation will face sanctions from every other species. We will share detection technology so every launch is visible to everyone. Transparency, not secrecy. The debate continued for hours. Some species supported the Accords immediately. Others were hesitant. A few opposed them entirely. Finally, the vote was called. The results appeared on displays throughout the chamber. 39 species in favor, 6 against. 2 abstaining. The Kinetic Age Accords passed. Chen felt relief wash over him. It was not perfect. But it was better than the old system. Better than domination by the strongest. Over the following months, Earth began sharing technology. The Yulian Harmony requested defensive mass drivers. The Torgon species purchased plans for magnetic accelerators. Even some former Dominion colonies requested Earth's help building their own defense networks. Captain Sarah Okonkwo, now Admiral Sarah Okonkwo, commanded the first joint human-alien fleet. Her flagship was the UES Unity, a new class of vessel designed with input from 17 species. She stood on the bridge with her crew. Humans, yes, but also a Kelon navigator, a Yulian tactical officer, and a young Dominion engineer who had requested asylum on Earth. Admiral, her communications officer called. We have a distress signal from a colony in the outer reaches. Pirate attack, Sarah smiled. Set course. Maximum speed. Let us show these pirates what happens when you threaten peaceful settlements. The Unity jumped to hyperspace. With it went 50 other ships. Human vessels, Yulian frigates, Torgon corvettes. An alliance fleet responding to a threat. The pirates took one look at the approaching force and fled without firing a shot. Back on Earth, Ambassador Chen met with a group of students from the Diplomatic Academy. They were young, eager, and full of questions. Ambassador Chen, one student asked, some people say you started a war. Others say you prevented one. Which is true? Chen thought about his answer. Both, perhaps. We demonstrated that humanity would not be victims. We showed the galaxy that even primitives can be dangerous. But we also showed them a path forward. A way for everyone to be equals. Do you think the Kinetic Age Accords will last? Another student asked. I do not know, Chen admitted. Peace is not a destination. It is a constant effort. But I believe we have given the galaxy a chance to move beyond domination and submission, a chance for true cooperation. Years later, on a frontier colony world, a human teacher stood before a classroom of mixed species. Human children sat beside Dominion youth, Yulian students, and Torgon apprentices. Today, the teacher said. We will learn about the Battle of Earth. Can anyone tell me why it was important? A Dominion child raised her hand. Because the humans reminded us that simple solutions can be powerful solutions? Very good, the teacher said. The galaxy had become so focused on advanced technology that we forgot basic principles. We forgot that physics does not care about sophistication. Energy is energy. Momentum is momentum. My father says the humans taught us an old Earth saying. A human boy added, walk softly and carry a big stick. The Dominion child looked confused. What does that mean? The teacher smiled. It means be peaceful but be ready to defend yourself. Be kind but be strong. And if possible, make sure your stick moves at 1/4 of light speed. The class laughed. Even the Dominion children laughed. They had been born into a different galaxy than their parents. A galaxy where no single species ruled. A galaxy where peace came not from one power dominating all others, but from everyone respecting everyone else. In her retirement home on Luna, Admiral Sarah Okonkwo looked out at the stars. She was old now. Her hands shook, but her mind was clear. She thought about that day on the Dauntless, the day she fired the first railgun shot, the day she changed the galaxy without meaning to. Did I do the right thing? She wondered aloud. Her granddaughter, visiting from Earth, squeezed her hand. Grandmother, 47 species live in peace now. No one rules over anyone else. No one is dismissed as primitive. Yes, you did the right thing. Sarah smiled. We just threw rocks. Very fast rocks. Sometimes, her granddaughter said, the simplest solutions are the best ones. Sarah looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships patrolled alongside alien vessels. Former enemies worked together. The galaxy had changed. All because humanity had never forgotten that velocity is the ultimate equalizer, and that sometimes, the most advanced thing you can do is remember the basics. Captain Olivia Bennett stared at the massive ships through the viewscreen of her vessel. They had appeared without warning near Mars' orbit, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly metal that seemed to shift colors under the distant sunlight. 6 of them, each larger than the biggest city on Earth, hanging in space like silent predators. Status report, she said, her voice steady despite the fear building in her chest. Lieutenant Ryan Doyle's fingers flew across his console. No response to our hails yet, Captain. They're not broadcasting on any known frequency. Olivia nodded. The Earth Defense Force vessel, Intrepid, was humanity's most advanced warship. But compared to these visitors, it might as well have been a rowboat facing an aircraft carrier. Humanity had expanded throughout the solar system over the past 30 years. Colonies on Mars, mining operations in the asteroid belt, research stations on Europa and Titan. But they had never encountered intelligent alien life. Until today. Try all frequencies again, she ordered, and notify Earth Command. We need to. A bright light flashed across the view screen, momentarily blinding everyone on the bridge. When Olivia's vision cleared, a face filled the screen. It was humanoid, but clearly alien. Scaled skin in deep purple hues, 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, and a mouth that seemed too wide for its face. Greetings, vessel of Earth, the alien said in perfect English. I am Admiral Krasanar of the Zorian Empire. We have been observing your world for some time. Olivia straightened her uniform and stepped forward. This is Captain Olivia Bennett of the Earth Defense Force. You've entered our solar system unannounced. What is your purpose here? Admiral Krasanar's upper eyes blinked slowly. Purpose? The Zorian Empire doesn't need purpose to go where it wishes. The universe belongs to those with the power to claim it. His voice carried no malice, just the calm certainty of someone stating an obvious fact. Nevertheless, Olivia said, choosing her words carefully, Earth and its colonies would appreciate knowing your intentions. The alien's wide mouth formed what might have been a smile. Very well. We are here to offer your species a generous opportunity. The Zorian Empire spans 17,000 worlds across 3 galactic arms. We bring order, technology, and protection to all who join us. Ryan whispered from his station. Captain, we're detecting energy readings off the charts from their ships. Their weapon systems make our nuclear arsenal look like firecrackers. Olivia nodded slightly to acknowledge him, but kept her eyes on the alien. And if we're not interested in joining your empire, then we will be forced to take more direct measures, Krasnar said. Your species has potential. We would prefer to avoid unnecessary damage to your infrastructure and population. As a protectorate state, you would maintain limited self-governance under imperial oversight. Your resources would, of course, serve the greater needs of the empire. The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what this was. An ultimatum, not an invitation. I am not authorized to negotiate on behalf of Earth, Olivia said finally. I request time to contact our leaders. Krasnar made a dismissive gesture with a four-fingered hand. Of course, we are not barbarians. You have 12 of your Earth hours to establish communication. I will speak with your world leaders then. The transmission ended abruptly. Send everything to Earth Command, Olivia ordered, and get me a secure line to the Secretary General. 12 hours later, the United Nations Security Council gathered in an emergency session. Leaders from around the world sat in stunned silence as they watched the recording from the Intrepid. Secretary General William Moore looked around the table at ashen faces. The Zorian ships haven't moved from their position, he said. Our long-range scans confirm what Captain Bennett reported. Their technological capabilities far exceed our own. The Russian representative spoke first. Perhaps we should consider their offer. Limited self-governance is better than destruction. Absolutely not, the American representative countered. We would be signing away humanity's future. Once they're established here, they'll never leave. Arguments erupted around the table. Surrender or fight. Neither option seemed viable. Earth's combined military might would be useless against visitors who could cross interstellar space. A quiet voice cut through the chaos. There is a third option. All eyes turned to Dr. Alex Carter, who sat in an observer's chair against the wall. He wasn't supposed to speak in these meetings, but no one objected. Dr. Carter, the Secretary General said, "You have the floor." Alex stood, his tall frame unfolding awkwardly. He looked ordinary, a man in his 40s with graying hair and glasses wearing a rumpled suit. Few people in the room knew that he was the leading physicist on Earth's most classified project. For the past 20 years, Alex said, a small team has been working on technology derived from an ancient outpost we discovered beneath the Pacific Ocean. An outpost that wasn't built by humans. Murmurs swept through the room. This was news. To most of the world leaders present, we've developed capabilities that we've kept hidden even from our own space program, Alex continued. Capabilities that might give us a chance against the Zorians. What kind of capabilities? The Chinese representative demanded. Alex adjusted his glasses. The kind that could make them regret threatening Earth. But we need time to prepare. He turned to the Secretary General. Ask for 72 hours to consider their terms. Make it seem like we're divided and need time to reach consensus. And then? The Secretary General asked. Then we show them that humans don't respond well to threats. Alex said simply. The Secretary General studied Alex's face, then nodded slowly. Make the call. Admiral Krasnar received Earth's request for time with amusement. The Zorian Empire had conquered thousands of worlds, and the response was always the same. Fear, followed by acceptance of the inevitable. These humans would be no different. Give them their 72 hours, he told his war council. It makes no difference. Their primitive weapons can't harm our ships, and their civilization has barely reached their own moon. They need time to accept their new reality. What Krasnar didn't know was that humans had indeed reached far beyond their moon, and deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility unknown to most of humanity, Dr. Alex Carter was powering up a device that would change the course of galactic history. Project Prometheus is online, a technician reported. Alex nodded, his expression grim. Begin the countdown. We have 71 hours to prepare humanity's response. The 71 hours passed quickly. Inside the mountain facility, Dr. Alex Carter hadn't slept for more than a few minutes at a time. His eyes were red-rimmed as he stared at complex equations floating on holographic displays. We're almost there, he said to General Frank Martinez, who stood beside him with arms crossed. The system is stable now. The general nodded. He was a tall man with short gray hair and a face weathered by decades of military service. Good, because time's almost up and we need to send our response. In another room, Samantha Reeves checked her simple blue uniform one last time. As Earth's diplomatic officer chosen for this mission, she understood the weight on her shoulders. She was 35, with brown hair pulled back in a tight bun and eyes that missed nothing. Years of international negotiations had prepared her for difficult situations, but nothing like this. "The shuttle is ready, Ms. Reeves," said a young officer at the door. She nodded. "And the others?" "The delegation is assembled and waiting." Samantha took a deep breath. "Then it's time." The small Earth shuttle approached the massive Zorian flagship. It looked tiny against the enormous alien vessel, like a mosquito next to an elephant. Inside, Samantha sat with 3 other diplomats, representatives chosen from different continents to show Earth's unified front. "Remember," she told them, "no matter what happens in there, stick to the plan." Their shuttle entered a vast docking bay where strange vehicles and smaller spacecraft sat in neat rows. Armed Zorian soldiers lined the walls, their bodies covered in sleek armor that pulsed with soft light. Each carried a weapon that looked like it could vaporize the entire Earth delegation in seconds. Admiral Krasnar waited for them at the center of the bay, flanked by what appeared to be high-ranking officers. Up close, the alien was even more intimidating, nearly 7 feet tall with powerful muscles visible beneath his scaled skin. "Welcome aboard the Imperial vessel Dominant," he said, his 4 eyes studying each human carefully. "I trust you've come with your planet's decision." Samantha stepped forward. "We have, Admiral. I am Samantha Reeves, appointed to speak for Earth in this matter." Krasnar made a gesture, and the delegation was led through gleaming corridors to a large chamber. A round table dominated the center, surrounded by seats designed for Zorian anatomy. The walls displayed views of space and strange worlds that must have been part of their empire. The Zorian War Council was already seated. They varied in coloration and size, but all had the same 4-eyed, wide-mouthed appearance as Krasnar. They watched the humans with expressions that ranged from curiosity to contempt. "Please be seated," Krasnar said, indicating smaller chairs that had been brought in for the humans. "Now let us hear Earth's wise decision." The other council members made sounds that might have been chuckles. They clearly expected surrender. Samantha remained standing. "Admiral, members of the council, I will be brief. I am instructed to deliver the following message from the United Governments of Earth." The room fell silent. Even the Zorians, who had seemed bored, now paid attention. Samantha's voice was clear and firm as she delivered the single-sentence response. "We advise you to leave our solar system immediately. This is not a negotiation." For a moment, no one spoke. Then laughter erupted around the table, a strange hissing sound from alien throats. "Fascinating," said Krasnar when the laughter died down. "In 17,000 conquered worlds, I have rarely encountered such amusing defiance." He leaned forward. "Perhaps I wasn't clear about your situation. You have no defense against our weapons. Your entire civilization exists because we allow it." Samantha didn't flinch. "Our message stands, Admiral. We advise you to leave." A red-scaled Zorian slammed a fist on the table. "This is an insult. They should be punished immediately." Krasnar held up a hand. "Peace, Commander Vorex. I find their courage interesting." He turned back to Samantha. "You must have some reason for this confidence, some weapon you believe will save you." "We simply wish to be left alone," Samantha replied. "That is all I am authorized to say." Krasnar studied her for a long moment, then stood. "Very well. Since words alone do not convince you of your situation, perhaps a demonstration is needed." He touched a control on the table and a holographic image appeared above it. A small moon orbiting Mars. "This is your outpost on Phobos, yes?" "Uninhabited at present, according to our scans. Watch carefully." He made another gesture. On the hologram, a beam of light shot from one of the Zorian ships. The surface of Phobos erupted in a massive explosion. When the dust cleared, a crater nearly a mile wide had replaced the small research facility. That was one weapon at its lowest setting, fired from our smallest ship. Krasnar said quietly. You have 24 hours to reconsider your response. If we do not receive your surrender by then, our next demonstration will target one of your orbital stations and with people on board. Samantha's face remained neutral, though her heart pounded in her chest. We understand, Admiral. Is there anything else? Krasnar seemed surprised by her calmness. No. You are dismissed. The Earth delegation was escorted back to their shuttle. Once they were safely away from the Zorian ship, one of the other diplomats broke down in tears. They're going to kill us all, he sobbed. Did you see what they did to Phobos? Pull yourself together, Samantha said firmly. Everything is proceeding as expected. Back on Earth, the Security Council watched the recording of the meeting with grim faces. They destroyed our Phobos facility with barely any effort, the Secretary General said. Are we certain this plan will work? Dr. Carter nodded. The Prometheus system is ready. When they make their next move, we'll be waiting. In a secure bunker beneath Colorado, Officer Zoe Hampton ran final checks on her control systems. She was young, just 28, but had been chosen for her exceptional mental focus and reaction time. Her dark skin contrasted with the bright blue glow from her screens as she studied the positions of the Zorian fleet. All satellites in position, she reported. Prometheus is online and targeting systems are green. General Martinez watched from behind her. Good. Now we wait. Above Earth, 3 ordinary-looking satellites drifted in seemingly random orbits. To any observer, they appeared to be standard communications equipment. The Zorians had scanned them and dismissed them as primitive technology. That was their first mistake. As the 24-hour deadline approached, Admiral Krasnar prepared his fleet for the next demonstration. He selected a small space station in Earth orbit, one with minimal defenses and only a skeleton crew. Enough people to make his point, but not so many that he would appear unnecessarily cruel. Target locked, reported his weapons officer. Awaiting your command, Admiral. Krasnar looked at the station on his view screen. These humans will learn, as all species do eventually. He raised his hand to give the order. Fire. The Zorian weapons officer pressed the firing control. A beam of intense energy shot from the destroyer toward the small Earth space station. Everyone on the bridge of the Zorian flagship watched with cold satisfaction. This demonstration would surely break the humans' foolish resistance. But something unexpected happened. As the energy beam approached the space station, the 3 nearby satellites suddenly glowed with a blue light. The beam struck what appeared to be an invisible wall and stopped completely. The energy didn't scatter or explode. It simply vanished, absorbed into nothing. What happened? Krasnar demanded, rising from his command chair. Why is the station still intact? Unknown, Admiral, the weapons officer replied, checking his instruments. The energy beam was absorbed. I've never seen anything like it. In her underground bunker, Officer Zoe Hampton's fingers danced across her control panel. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she channeled the absorbed energy through the Prometheus system. The satellites had worked perfectly, capturing the Zorian weapons' power. Now came the hard part. Energy containment at 98%, she reported. Targeting systems locked on the Zorian destroyer. Dr. Carter stood behind her, his face tense. Remember your training, Zoe. Precise control is essential. I know, she said, not taking her eyes off the screens. Initiating Prometheus protocol now. The 3 satellites repositioned slightly, creating a perfect triangle. The blue glow intensified, and then a pulse of energy, not a beam, but a sphere of light, shot toward one of the smaller Zorian ships. On the Zorian flagship, alarms blared. Energy surge detected, a sensor officer shouted. Origin unknown. Target is the destroyer, invincible. Raise shields, Krasnar ordered. But it was already too late. The sphere of energy reached the Zorian destroyer, but instead of exploding against the ship's hull, it enveloped the vessel in a bubble of light. For 3 seconds, the ship appeared frozen in time, glowing with an otherworldly radiance. Then the bubble collapsed. Where the destroyer had been, there was now only empty space, no debris, no explosion. The ship and its 400 crew members had simply ceased to exist. Stunned silence filled the Zorian command center. In thousands of years of conquest, they had never witnessed such technology. "Scan the area," Krasnar ordered, his voice tight with shock. "Where did the Invincible go?" After several minutes of frantic activity, the science officer turned to him. "Admiral, the ship is gone, not destroyed in the conventional sense. Our sensors indicate a localized disruption in spacetime. The ship wasn't damaged. It was removed from our reality." Before Krasnar could respond, a transmission came through on all Zorian communication channels. The face of General Martinez filled their screens. "Attention, Zorian fleet. You have witnessed our response to your attack. That was our final warning. The next demonstration will not be so limited. You have 6 hours to leave our solar system." The transmission ended as abruptly as it had begun. Krasnar's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he processed what had happened. One of his warships, a vessel that had participated in the conquest of dozens of worlds, had been erased from existence with seemingly little effort. "Call the War Council," he ordered. "Immediately." Back in the Colorado bunker, Zoe Hampton collapsed in her chair. Blood trickled from her nose and her hands shook violently. "Medical team," Dr. Carter shouted, catching her before she fell to the floor. "Get a medical team in here now." Doctors rushed in and placed Zoe on a stretcher. As they carried her out, General Martinez turned to Dr. Carter with concern. "Will she be all right?" Carter nodded slowly. "I think so. The neural load was intense, but she handled it better than our simulations predicted. She's tough." "Can she do it again if needed?" the general asked quietly. "She'll have to," Carter replied, looking at the monitors showing the Zorian fleet, "because I don't think they're going to leave without another fight." Throughout the bunker, lights flickered and dimmed. Outside, across much of North America, power grids strained and failed. Blackouts swept across cities from Los Angeles to New York. "The energy requirements were even higher than we calculated," Carter said, studying the damage reports that flowed in. "We drained nearly 40% of the continent's power grid to fuel that single demonstration." General Martinez frowned. "Do we have enough for another?" "Maybe one more major deployment," Carter admitted. "After that, we'll need weeks to produce more of the specialized material that makes the reaction possible." The general's face grew grim. "Let's hope one more is enough." On the Zorian flagship, the War Council argued fiercely. Commander Vorex pounded the table with his fist. "We should attack immediately, with all our forces," he shouted, "before they can use this weapon again." An older Zorian with pale blue scales shook his head. "That would be suicide, Commander. We don't understand what we're facing. This technology is beyond anything in our records." "Science Director Malik is right," another council member said. "In all our conquests, we've never encountered a weapon that could remove matter from reality itself." Krasnar listened to the debate with growing frustration. The Empire had conquered through overwhelming force for so long that they had stopped innovating centuries ago. Why develop new weapons when your current ones were sufficient? Now that complacency might cost them dearly. "What do we really know about these humans?" he asked suddenly. The council fell silent. "Our initial scan showed primitive technology," the science director admitted. "But clearly, our assessment was wrong. Or they've been hiding their true capabilities," Krasnar mused. "Waiting until they were threatened to reveal their power. All the more reason to crush them now," Vorex insisted. "If they've developed this technology in secret, what else might they be hiding?" Krasnar stood up, his decision made. "The Zorian Empire does not retreat. We will not be threatened by a single planet, no matter what weapon they possess." B. Turned to his war commander. "Prepare all ships for attack. Target their major population centers simultaneously. We will overwhelm their defenses with sheer numbers." "And if they use their weapon again?" Malik asked. "They removed one ship," Krasnar replied coldly. "We have 100 more. They cannot stop us all." As the Zorian fleet began to move into attack formation, Secretary General Moore received the news in the underground command center. "They're not leaving," he told Dr. Carter and General Martinez. They're preparing for a full-scale assault. Carter nodded, unsurprised. Then we'll have to show them what Prometheus can really do. The doctors worked quickly to stabilize Officer Zoe Hampton. Her vital signs had finally steadied, but she remained unconscious, her body drained by the mental strain of operating the Prometheus system. Dr. Carter watched through the medical bay window, his face lined with worry. How soon can she be operational again? General Martinez asked, standing beside him. Carter frowned. Frank, she nearly died. Her brain was never meant to channel that much energy. I understand that, Alex, but we're out of options. The Zorians are moving into attack positions. Our conventional defenses won't stop them. Before Carter could respond, an aide rushed in. General, Doctor, you need to see this. Officer Hampton is awake and asking for you. They hurried into the medical bay. Zoe was sitting up in bed, her dark eyes alert, despite the paleness of her face. I can do it again, she said before they could speak. I can feel the system calling to me. It's like it wants to be used. Carter and Martinez exchanged concerned glances. Zoe, the neural load nearly killed you, Carter said gently. We need to find another way. She shook her head. There is no other way, but I figured something out while I was unconscious. She struggled to sit up straighter. The system doesn't have to target their ships directly. There's another approach. In space, the Zorian fleet spread out in a wide formation. 50 warships positioned themselves above Earth's major cities. Another 30 surrounded the planet to prevent any escape attempts. The remaining vessels held position near the moon, ready to provide support where needed. On the flagship, Admiral Krasnar reviewed the attack plan one final time. All ships report ready, Admiral, his second-in-command announced. Begin the countdown, Krasnar ordered. All vessels will fire simultaneously in 30 seconds. The science director, Malik, approached him with a worried expression. Admiral, I must once again voice my concerns. We still don't understand the humans' technology. This attack could provoke... Your concerns are noted, Krasnar interrupted. But the decision is made. The Empire does not back down. In the Colorado bunker, technicians rushed to implement Zoe's new approach. Despite the doctor's protests, she had been moved back to the control center, where she sat in the command chair, medical monitors attached to her body. Power reserves at 62%, a technician reported. Barely enough for what she's proposing. Dr. Carter nodded. It will have to do. He turned to Zoe. Are you absolutely sure about this? Yes, she replied, her voice stronger now. Traditional targeting won't work against their entire fleet. But if we reconfigure Prometheus to create a different kind of connection... General Martinez studied the complex diagram Zoe had quickly sketched out. This is completely untested. We have no idea what effect it will have. We know what will happen if we do nothing, Zoe said simply. The Secretary General, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward. Do it. As the Zorian fleet counted down to their synchronized attack, something strange began to happen. The 3 satellites near Earth glowed with an intense blue light. But instead of focusing on any Zorian ship, they created a web of energy that expanded outward, enveloping the entire planet. Energy surge detected, shouted a Zorian sensor officer. Pattern unknown. Is it their weapon? Krasnar demanded. Uncertain, Admiral. The energy signature is similar but much broader. It appears to be connecting to us somehow. Weapons free, Krasnar ordered. Fire now before they can... His words cut off abruptly as a wave of foreign sensation crashed through his mind. Every Zorian on every ship experienced the same, frothing simultaneously, an overwhelming flood of alien consciousness pouring into their minds. Dr. Carter watched in amazement as Zoe directed the Prometheus system to create something unprecedented, a momentary psychic bridge between every human on Earth and every Zorian in the invasion fleet. It's working, he whispered. For one brief, eternal moment, the Zorians experienced humanity's entire emotional spectrum: love and hate, joy and grief, hope and despair. They felt the fierce determination that drove humans to explore and survive. against all odds. They witnessed humanity's bloody history, the wars and atrocities, but also their capacity for forgiveness, art, and self-sacrifice. And the humans felt the Zorians too. Their hive-like ancestral memories, their rigid social structure, their certainty of purpose that came from thousands of years of uncontested expansion. On the Zorian flagship, Krasnar fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the alien emotions flooding his mind. Images flashed before him. A human mother protecting her child, soldiers sacrificing themselves for their comrades, scientists working through the night to solve impossible problems, artists creating beauty from nothing, and behind it all, a message, not in words but in pure understanding. This is who we are. This is what you threaten. We will not be conquered. Throughout the Zorian fleet, chaos erupted. Some officers collapsed, unable to process the flood of individualistic human consciousness. Others lashed out in confusion, firing weapons at random. Several ships collided as their pilots lost control. In the Colorado bunker, Zoe Hampton guided, the connection with a skill that astonished Dr. Carter. Despite never attempting anything like this before, she seemed to understand the system at an intuitive level that went beyond his theoretical knowledge. 30 seconds of contact, a technician announced. Life signs are stable. Keep going, General Martinez urged. The connection grew stronger. Now the Zorians weren't just feeling human emotions, they were receiving knowledge. The accumulated history of Earth's wars and conflicts flowed into their minds. They saw how humans fought most fiercely when cornered, how they had survived countless disasters, both natural and self-inflicted, how they had developed from scattered tribes to a unified global civilization in a mere few thousand years. Most disturbing to the Zorians was the human capacity for adaptation. Every technology, every strategy, every advantage the Zorians possessed, the humans were already analyzing, understanding, preparing countermeasures. On the flagship, Krasnar managed to stagger to his feet, fighting against the mental invasion. "Disengage," he shouted. "All ships, emergency withdrawal." The blue energy web pulsed once more, then slowly faded. The connection was broken, but its effects remained. Throughout the Zorian fleet, officers and crew sat in stunned silence, forever changed by what they had experienced. In the bunker, Zoe slumped in her chair, exhausted but conscious. "Did it work?" she asked weakly. Dr. Carter checked the monitors. "The Zorian fleet is moving away from Earth orbit. They're retreating." A cheer went up from the technicians, but General Martinez remained cautious. "Keep all systems on alert. This could be a trick." But it wasn't. Admiral Krasnar had made his decision. As the flagship accelerated away from Earth, he composed a message to the Empire's central worlds. Earth is to be classified as a prohibited zone. No Imperial vessel is to approach this solar system under any circumstances. His second-in-command looked at him in shock. "Admiral, the Emperor will demand an explanation." "I will give him one," Krasnar replied, his 4 eyes still haunted by what he had seen. "These humans are not like other species we have encountered. They are dangerous in ways the Empire is not prepared to face." As Earth celebrated its unexpected victory, Dr. Carter sat beside Zoe's recovery bed. "How did you know it would work?" he asked. "The psychic connection wasn't part of the original design." Zoe smiled tiredly. "When I operated the system the first time, I felt something. The Prometheus technology doesn't just manipulate space-time. It connects to consciousness itself. That's why it responded so well to human operators. We're wired differently than the Zorians." Carter nodded slowly. "Which means we've only begun to understand what Prometheus can really do." 3 months after the Zorian retreat, Earth had changed in ways both visible and invisible. The United Nations building in New York now housed a new branch dedicated to space defense and extraterrestrial contact. Countries that had fought for centuries found common ground in preparing humanity for its new role in the galaxy. Dr. Alex Carter stood at the observation window of the newly constructed Prometheus Research Center, watching engineers work on an improved version of the satellite system. The original 3 satellites had been brought back to Earth for study, their components showing unexpected changes after the encounter with the Zorians. "Amazing how quickly we adapt," said Samantha Reeves, stepping up beside him. After her role in delivering Earth's warning to the Zorians, she had been appointed as the first director of extraterrestrial relations. "It's what humans do best," Alex replied with a small smile. "One day we're alone in the universe, the next we're reconfiguring our entire civilization to face a bigger reality." "Speaking of adapting," Samantha said, "how is Zoe doing?" Alex gestured toward a testing chamber below them. Zoe Hampton sat inside a clear enclosure, eyes closed in concentration as she interacted with a small glowing device on a table before her. Monitoring equipment surrounded her, recording every brainwave and bodily response. "She's changing too," Alex said quietly. The connection with the Prometheus system altered something in her neural pathways. She can perceive things the rest of us can't. "Is she in danger?" Samantha asked, concerned. "No, quite the opposite. Her brain is becoming more efficient, more capable, and she's not the only one. The 12 other operators we've been training show similar changes, though not as pronounced." Samantha watched Zoe for a moment longer. "And what about the Zorians? Any sign of them?" "None. Our deep space monitoring stations haven't detected any activity near the solar system. They're keeping their distance, just as Admiral Krasnar promised." In the vast emptiness between star systems, the Zorian fleet continued its journey home. Admiral Krasnar stood alone on the observation deck of his flagship, staring out at the endless stars. The encounter with humans had changed him too, in ways he was still struggling to understand. A soft chime announced a visitor. "Science Director." Malik entered, his movements slow and deliberate. "The crew is still recovering," Malik reported. "The human consciousness was overwhelming for many." "And the Emperor's response to our report?" Krasnar asked. "He is displeased as expected, but even he cannot argue with the evidence we provided. Earth will be designated a prohibited zone, as you recommended." Krasnar nodded. "It is the wise course. The humans possess something we don't fully understand." "Not technology," Malik agreed. "Their devices, while impressive, are not beyond our comprehension. It's their minds. Their diversity of thought, their chaotic emotions, their ability to function as individuals while still working toward collective goals. Our ancestors evolved from hive species," Krasnar said. "Order and hierarchy are embedded in our genetics. The humans evolved differently, which makes them dangerous," Malik concluded. "Yes," Krasnar said, "but also fascinating." Back on Earth, the Secretary-General convened a special session of the United Nations. Representatives from every nation gathered to discuss humanity's future in light of their first contact with an alien civilization. "The Zorians have retreated," the Secretary-General began, "but we would be foolish to think they are the only advanced species in our galaxy. Our brief glimpse into their minds revealed an empire spanning thousands of worlds and references to other interstellar powers." Murmurs spread through the assembly. The idea of multiple alien civilizations was still difficult for many to grasp. "Therefore," he continued, "I propose the formation of a new international body, the Earth Space Defense and Exploration Initiative. Its mission will be twofold: to protect our planet from future threats, and to prepare humanity for peaceful contact with other civilizations." The vote was unanimous. For perhaps the first time in human history, the entire planet stood united behind a single purpose. In a laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Carter made a surprising discovery. He burst into General Martinez's office, waving a data tablet, excitedly. "Frank, look at this, the material we extracted from the ancient outpost. It's changing its molecular structure based on how we use it." The general looked confused. "What does that mean in simple terms, Alex?" "It means Prometheus isn't just a technology we found and adapted. It's learning from us, evolving with us. The more we use it, the more it becomes attuned to human consciousness." Martinez leaned back in his chair. "So what you're saying is—" "What I'm saying is that the alien civilization that built the original outpost might have created Prometheus as a seed technology, something designed to be found and developed by other species." Carter's eyes shone with excitement. "And based On the data we've collected, I believe the technology responds differently depending on who uses it. In human hands, it forms connections, builds bridges between minds. And in Zorian hands? Martinez asked. We may never know, Carter replied. But I suspect it would manifest in ways that reflect their hive mind evolution. 6 months after the Zorian encounter, Earth launched its first true deep space vessel, the Emissary. Unlike the military ships of the Earth Defense Force, the Emissary was designed for exploration and contact. Its crew included scientists, diplomats, and a small contingent of Prometheus operators, with Zoe Hampton as their leader. On the day of launch, Samantha Reeves stood on the bridge beside Captain Olivia Bennett, who had been chosen to command this historic mission. Nervous, Olivia asked with a smile. Terrified, Samantha admitted. But excited too. We're not just visitors to the stars anymore. After what happened with the Zorians, we're going out there as equals. Zoe entered the bridge, her stride confident, despite the lingering effects of her connection with Prometheus. All systems ready, Captain. The operators are in position. Olivia nodded and took her place in the command chair. Navigation set course for the coordinates Dr. Carter provided. Course set, Captain. Estimated travel time to the nearest identified non-Zorian civilization, 6 months. Prometheus drive standing by, Zoe reported. Olivia looked around at her. Crew, the best humanity had to offer, embarking on a journey that would change their species forever. Let's go meet the neighbors, she said, and this time we won't be caught unprepared. The emissary's engines glowed with blue light, the same color as the Prometheus field that had saved Earth. In a flash of energy, the ship vanished into the depths of space, carrying humanity's message to the stars. Not a warning this time, but an invitation. Earth was ready to join the galactic community on its own terms.